Hello friends, Mandar here. I'm back with another video. Today let's talk about reconciliation bill that is again taking shape for 2022. We'll also talk about some of the RFEs that people are getting while in the adjustment of status, interfile processes, some questions related to it you don't want to miss, and how USCIS is picking up cases randomly. People with earlier priority dates are not necessarily getting their green cards sooner than people with later priority date. So a lot of confusion happening at this point of time. So a lot of topic, guys. Watch this video until the end and let's get started. If you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Mandar and I make immigration related videos for US and Canada. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so anything that I say on this video or on my channel is for information purpose only. And for your specific immigration needs, before you take any action, you should hire a competent immigration lawyer. Now please check out the links in the description of this video. You'll find some affiliate links, and if you make any purchase through those links, the channel will get a little bit of a commission. I would also like to remind that if you want to get in touch with me regarding my personal opinion in your particular case, what I would do if I were you, do contact me on my Patreon site. Please allow me 2 to 3 days to respond to your query, because that's how long it takes me to get to yours because of the volume. Now, although I limit my questions to 4 or 5, people still keep coming back with more questions, and that is all right as long as you continue with your membership. So do visit the Patreon site and I appreciate your support. Now let's jump into the first topic. Now one of the questions that I get is regarding starting a business when you are on EAD or as soon as you get your green card. Now I'm going to make a separate video on how you can go about doing it. So you have waited long on your green card process and now you got either your EAD where you are allowed to work multiple jobs or even start your own business. And also when you get your green card, you can do the same things. Now there are a lot of complexities that you have to go through, opening up a LLC, corporation, things like that. What kind of a structure you want to give to your company, what kind of name you want to give, and how do you prepare your business plan, and so on and so forth. I think this topic warrants a special video, so I'll work on that. So stay tuned to my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, do subscribe so that you get that notification when I create that video. Now another important question is, with this pandemic behind our back, we have gotten used to working from home. Now anybody can work from anywhere for any employer as long as they have an agreement with their employers. So people can sit in United States and work for a overseas employer, and vice versa. People can sit abroad and work for a US employer, and so on and so forth. So it doesn't really matter as long as you can work the time zones. It's all fair. But there are some things you want to keep in mind because you don't want to get in trouble with your employer. Some employers are very strict in their policies and they don't allow remote employers working from anywhere except in the jurisdictions where they have a physical entity presence. So say for instance there is a company and it has its offices in 3 out of the 50 United States. Now that company may allow people to work from any of those 3 states where they have a physical presence, and that's to fulfill the tax obligations in those particular states. So some companies are very strict on that policy. So if you happen to break that policy without letting your employer know, you can get yourself into the hot waters. So to avoid that, if you are working remotely from anywhere in the world for an employer, make sure that you communicate that with your employer. Don't get into a situation where employer finds out after the fact and then they cause you a problem. I know examples of cases where people have assumed that their employer allows them to work from anywhere in the world and they did not notify the employer or they did not have an arrangement with them. As a result, when the employer came to know, they actually fired the employee. So be careful on that. Now another question is, if you are in the United States, can you work for an employer that is outside of the United States? So that is a fair question, and it depends on what kind of status you are in the United States. If you are a US citizen or a US green card holders, from the immigration perspective, there is no issue which employer you work with, whether it's in the United States or whether it's outside the United States. The only thing you have to worry about the tax implications, because US taxes its citizens and green card holders for worldwide income. So even if you are working for an employer which is not in the United States, if you are getting paid not in the United States but somewhere else, still you are obligated to disclose that to the US government or IRS, because you are taxed on worldwide income. Now that's for US citizens and green card holders. What about people who are on the non-immigrant visa, such as H or L? Now, as long as you are fulfilling your H-1B obligations, like working for the sponsored employer and not taking up any other employment within the United States, you should be fine. Now let's talk about H4, the dependents of H. So when you are an H4, you are not allowed to work purely based on H4. You need to get an EAD to work. Now, so if you have an H4 EAD, you can work for any employer in the United States. You can do your own business and so on and so forth. But what about the situation where you want to work for an employer that is outside of the United States? So here, there is, from the immigration perspective, I don't see any issue for you being on H4 EAD to work for an employer that is outside of the United States, being physically present yourself in the United States. So there is no issue in my perspective. The issue comes, how do you get paid? If you get paid outside of the United States in a foreign currency, in a foreign bank, then you are obligated to pay taxes in that jurisdictions. But if you are paid within the United States, say for instance your overseas employer deposits a salary in a US bank account for you for a work that you do for them, then you may have tax obligations for US or IRS. There is a form that you will need to specifically fill out to declare that particular income. So that would be something that you will need to keep in mind. If you have any more questions on this particular topic of being able to work or not for which employer, do contact me on my Patreon site and I will be happy to help. Now let's talk about the reconciliation bill and whether there are any immigration provisions in this year's reconciliation bill. It is just taking shape. It is very early in the stage right now, but there seems to be some news coming out of the Congress that this bill is now taking shape. Now let's talk about it. And that brings me to the sponsor of this video, which is Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN provider and that gives you a lot of benefits that you are looking for. Now here is what all Surfshark has to offer. It gives you the power to protect your online privacy, control your personal data, access content safely, and unlock the exclusive benefits of this. What else can it do? You can browse privately, encrypt your internet activity so that no one can steal or track your data, hide your location. This is the key when I was talking about being able to watch the Netflix and Amazon from different countries, block ads and malware, stay safe on public Wi-Fi, keep searches private, and get real search results. And if you are in the tech or IT industry, you know what VPN can provide. Now if you click the link in the description with my code Mandar, you will get a discount, almost 83% discount on VPN deal, and plus 3 months of absolutely free VPN. So check out the link in the description, and if you do get the Surfshark through my discount code, it will also benefit the channel. First, let's find out what is reconciliation. So let's look at this definition of reconciliation, budget reconciliation. It's also called spending bill by some people. So what it says is, Congress sometimes uses a special legislative process called reconciliation to quickly advance high priority fiscal legislation. Created by the Congressional Budget Act of 1974, reconciliation allows for expedited consideration of certain tax, spending, and debt limit legislation. In the Senate, reconciliation bills aren't subject to filibuster, and then the scope of amendments is limited, giving this process a real advantage for enacting controversial budget and tax measures. So really what the reconciliation bill is a fast track method to get things related to certain tax, spending, and debt limit. So if there is a debt limit that needs to be increased by the United States government or Fed, they use this reconciliation process to get the votes necessary to increase the budget ceiling. They also do for budget and tax purposes. Any legislations that have an impact on the budget or a tax can be passed through this reconciliation bill. Now the beauty of this bill, this particular process, is it doesn't need filibuster in the Senate. Filibuster is you need 60 votes out of the 100 votes to pass a legislation, but for reconciliation they only need 50 votes. So this is a very important process. In last year, in 2021, they tried to pass the Build Back Better Act, and they've tried to pass a lot of immigration related stuff through the reconciliation bill. Although it had lesser resistance in the House, it faced major resistance in the Senate. The reason is Senate has a certain process called parliamentarian, and it's called Bayard process. So which there is a impartial parliamentarian who can object to things that get slid under the reconciliation bill that are not related to the budget or taxes. So if that happens to be the case, parliamentarian can suggest removing those clauses, and immigration happens to be one of those that has difficulty fitting this bill, basically because it does not have much of a tax or budget implications. Now again, this year they are trying to include some of the immigration legislations. For example, in the last video I talked about the Meng amendment. So Congresswoman Meng has proposed an amendment in this spending bill or reconciliation bill to recapture all the unused visa numbers from EB and FB categories since 1992. So those are about 200 to 300,000 visa numbers that will be available if this was to pass through the spending bill. Now this particular amendment will be in the House version of the bill. That's what I understand. Now whether or not it will come into the Senate version of the bill is to be seen. Like last time, if they try to include it into the Senate version of the bill, there is the parliamentarian who can suggest it to be removed if it does not have a budgetary impact. Another one important one is for America's Children Act, where the documented dreamers or children who have come to the United States as children at a very young age with their parents who were on the non-immigrant visa, and they have lived in the United States for the entirety of their lifetime, and now they have to self-deport because they cannot be on their parents' petition for the green card. So this bill can address that situation, and so it's very important bill, America's Children Act. And Congresswoman Deborah Ross is fighting for this bill, and she is confident that this will be taken onto the House floor because the subcommittee has already approved this particular to be brought into the floor, but it has long ways to go, as I mentioned it in my previous video. So these are the two things, Meng Amendment and the America's Children Act. These are two in particular that I suspect might get added into this budget reconciliation process. So let's see what happened. I will be sure to make a video on this and go into the full details. So now many people ask me about EAD and AP application. So remember, the EAD and AP application, EAD is I-765 and AP is I-131. Both of these are, when you apply for 485, these two applications are free. They have no charge from the USCIS. Subsequent applications do have charge. When you go to extend these EAD and AP cards, there is a charge, but first time applications do not have charge. So whenever you have a 485 application, it's a no-brainer that you apply for EAD and AP. Even if you have EAD and AP through your any of the other applications, say for instance you have two I-485s, one in EB3 and the second one is EB2, I would advise you to apply for EAD and AP through both the applications because it's included. Now in terms of interfile, however, there is no first time application. So you are upgrading your petition from EB3 to EB2. So it's not a fresh application. So at that point of time, unless your EB3 based EAD and AP are about to expire, only then you can make an application for an extension. Otherwise there is no need. If you already have a valid one, then there is no need to reapply upon interfile. Now there are a lot of people who are coming to me and saying their priority date is 2020, 2011 or 2012, and people whose priority dates are 2013 and even further, they are getting their green card sooner. So how is this possible? Now we were led to believe in the past that USCIS always goes with the priority date, earliest priority date applications get processed first, and also the people who apply first get processed first. So a first in first out kind of thing, but that apparently is not true. There are no rules across the board. Now rules may be specific to a particular service center, so within a service center, within a department, maybe they are following those rules. Whoever has an earlier priority date may be getting processed earlier, but as an overall, when the processing centers differ, when these files get moved from one processing center to another, they don't keep track of any of the priority dates or anything. They just pick up the application in the stack one by one as they come in and they process them. So somebody who has a priority date of EB2 for say 2014 may very well get their green card sooner than somebody with a priority date of 2011. So that is unfortunately the reality. I know it's frustrating for a lot of people, but it is what it is, and there is nothing much you can do about this process. Now a lot of people are also asking me that they are getting the RFE even though their date is not current. So even if say for instance you are in EB3 and you have application pending in EB3, I-485, you are getting your RFE for submitting the medicals, and that is quite possible because if you have an approved EB2 petition but you have not yet interfiled or upgraded your EB3 to EB2, USCIS is proactively asking people to submit their interfile petition. In some cases they are not even doing that, they are just asking to submit their medicals, and in some instances I have seen them approving EB3 cases without their EB3 date being not current, based on the fact that they had an approved EB2 and their date was current in EB2. That is happening, and I have some cases that have come to me for sure. In such situation, and keep repeating the same stuff, is if your priority date was not current in EB3 and you had no pending application in EB2, however, even if you had an I-140 approved in EB2, you did not have AOS pending in EB2. In that case, if you get your green card, do go back to the USCIS, write them a letter and get a clarification on why did they approve your green card, because it is very important to get that clarification and have that as a proof of the validity of the green card that they have provided you. It is always helpful, because last thing you want to know is the green card that they have given is invalid and they could resend it any time in the future. That is a very big impact for you. So do keep that in mind. So really that's all I wanted to say in this video. I'll be doing some more videos on some different topics, as I said, like corporation, what kind of LLC to form when you get your green card if you want to do a business, and some videos on the tax implications. So stay tuned to my channel. If you got value out of this video, do subscribe to my channel and hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.